2,700 kilometers of coastline, 15,000 bunkers, 500,000 tons of concrete. In 1942, Adolf Hitler ordered the impossible, a wall stretching from Norway to the Spanish border, built to stop an invasion he knew was coming. It was the largest fortification project since the Great Wall of China, and it was doomed to fail. The plan divided the coast into 15 defense sectors: Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, and above all, France, where the Allies were expected to land. Hitler believed geography alone would not save Germany. Concrete would. In late 1943, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel arrived to inspect the wall himself. What he found alarmed him. Gaps in the defenses, weak points, empty stretches of beach with nothing but sand. Rommel had one order: close every gap, or Germany would lose the war on the first day of invasion. Rommel's answer was obsession. He toured the coast constantly, demanding more mines, more obstacles, more concrete. His engineers worked around the clock. Within months, over 4 million landmines had been buried into French beaches alone. Steel obstacles rose from the sand like iron teeth. Some were tipped with mines. Others were simply sharp enough to tear open the hull of a landing craft at high tide. Rommel called them his Devil's Garden. He wanted every meter of beach to kill. Behind the beaches stood the bunkers. Some housed artillery capable of hitting ships miles offshore. Others were built for machine guns, positioned to fire along the beach rather than out to sea, a design meant to cut down entire waves of attacking soldiers. The largest guns weighed over 300 tons and could fire shells the size of a man. Some bunkers had walls over 2 meters thick, designed to survive a direct hit from naval bombardment. To the men stationed inside, it must have felt unbreakable. But not every soldier defending the wall was elite. Many were older reservists, wounded veterans from the Eastern Front, or foreign conscripts with little loyalty to Berlin. Rommel had concrete. What he lacked was enough experienced men to fill it. The obstacles were placed with brutal precision, positioned exactly where the tide would hide them, forcing landing craft to approach blind. An attacker would not see the danger until it was already. Some bunkers still stand today, scattered along the coasts of Normandy and Brittany, gray concrete skeletons half buried in sand. Tourists walking past without knowing what once stood guard there. Yet for all its scale, the wall had a fatal flaw. Hitler and his generals could not agree where the invasion would land. Many believed Calais was the target, the shortest crossing from England. Normandy was defended, but not nearly as heavily. Rommel argued the Allies had to be stopped on the beaches themselves, within the first 24 hours. His rival, Rundstedt, believed in holding reserves inland and counterattacking after the landing. Hitler never fully chose either strategy. That indecision would prove catastrophic. When June 6, 1944 arrived, German reserves were held back, waiting for permission that came far too late. By the time tanks were released to counterattack, the beaches were already lost. Some sections of the wall performed exactly as designed. At Omaha Beach, American soldiers walked into a killing field of German machine gun fire, suffering catastrophic losses in the war's bloodiest single day of fighting. But elsewhere the wall crumbled almost immediately. Weak garrisons, poor morale, and gaps in the defenses meant entire sectors fell within hours. Rommel's warning about incomplete defenses had been proven right, too late to matter. Within a single day, the Allies had breached what Hitler called an impenetrable fortress. Within 11 months, Nazi Germany itself would collapse. The wall meant to stop history instead became one of its most famous failures. Millions of tons of concrete, millions of man-hours, 4 million landmines. All of it built to buy Germany time it desperately needed, and all of it broken in a matter of hours by men storming ashore under fire. Today, remnants of the Atlantikwalls still line the coasts of France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Massive concrete bunkers sit half buried in sand dunes, some slowly sinking, others preserved as museums and memorials. Visitors can walk through gun emplacements that once housed soldiers who spent months, even years, waiting for an invasion that would ultimately overwhelm them in a single day. These silent ruins remain some of the largest surviving physical traces. The story of the Atlantic Wall is, in many ways, a story about the limits of even the most massive fortifications. No amount of concrete, steel, or manpower could compensate for strategic uncertainty, divided command, and the element of surprise the Allies achieved through deception and timing. It stands as a permanent reminder that walls, however vast, cannot substitute for accurate intelligence, unified leadership, and the willingness to adapt when the enemy does the unexpected. Not every posting along the Atlantic Wall meant combat. Many young soldiers spent months in quiet coastal villages, far from any fighting, guarding beaches that saw no enemy for years, a strange, uneasy calm before the storm that would eventually come. Officers often climbed atop half-finished bunkers to inspect the work themselves. From these heights, they could see exactly what Rommel wanted every commander to understand: how much coastline still lay dangerously exposed, and how little time remained to close the gaps. Built directly into the cliffside, this bunker gave defenders a clear line of fire over the water below, blending almost invisibly into the rock itself, a hidden eye watching the horizon for the invasion everyone knew was coming. But no one knew exactly when. The Atlantic Wall remains one of history's greatest engineering achievements, and one of its most famous strategic failures. Built to be unbreakable, it fell within hours of the first Allied soldiers stepping onto Normandy's beaches. If you want to understand what happened next, watch our video on D-Day itself, where we follow the invasion hour by hour. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Every week, we uncover another forgotten chapter of the war that reshaped the modern world.